Hi there everyone, I'm Josiah from Womp Creations, and today I'm going to show you how I built this custom pair of Macrobinoculars. So my Macrobinocular build started off with this. This is a UMIG camera. It's a vintage camera, but it wasn't very expensive. This is the second one that I've got for a build like this. I got this off of eBay, and I think it was like 40 bucks. Not very expensive. And it's the same brand that they used for Luke's Macrobinoculars in A New Hope. It's not the same model. Those are a little more expensive because there's so many people trying to buy them to make Macrobinoculars. But this is a different model. It has a very similar look, and it was 40 bucks. So you can usually find some really good deals on these on eBay. But I grabbed this, and the first thing that I do when I get something like this, if I don't need the inside to work, I strip it for greeblies. And I've already done that with this, but basically I just went through with a screwdriver and removed a whole bunch of the internal stuff, looking for just interesting shapes or knobs or just all kinds of stuff that I could use for greeblies. That's the way that I stock up on some of my greeblies. So I stripped it down for those, which also helps it be a little less heavy. It wasn't super heavy to begin with, but it just cut down on the weight a little bit because I don't need this to function as a camera anymore. So the next thing that I need to do is dress it up. This is actually going to be a pretty simple build. I don't really need to modify the design of this. It's all going to be adding stuff. I'm not going to be subtracting anything from this really. With that, I think the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this section right here. This actually had a sliding door on here that when I got it, but when I was taking the greeblies off, it came off and I couldn't easily get it back on. But that's okay because I wasn't going to use it for the build anyways. It had some ridges on it that I wasn't a fan of. So for that, I am just going to use some styrene. For that, I need to grab out my cutting mat, some styrene, and my trusty X-Acto blade, and of course a straight edge. Now this is a pretty thin styrene. The reason I'm doing that is because of this curve on the side here. I want to be able to incorporate that curve in, and if the styrene that I use is too thin, it's going to have a hard time making that curve. So I'm not sure exactly how thin this is. It's probably 0.20 inch thick styrene, so it's pretty thin. It's not going to be super structurally sound, but that's okay. I'm not going to be tossing these Macrobinoculars around, so it doesn't need to be the sturdiest thing in the world. The first thing that I need to do is find the width that I need my styrene to be cut at, and it looks like it needs to be right at 3 inches. That is pretty convenient. So I'm just going to cut out a 3-inch strip off of this. Try to make sure all of my cuts are somewhat square. Make a little mark for 3. Go down to the bottom here and do the same. Alright, now I can just line up my ruler, make a few light scores. Remember, when you're scoring styrene, you do not want to press too heavily. That'll cause your blade to wander. Because this is so thin, I basically already went through with just a couple runs. not too bad. Now, let's double check and see how this lines up. Looks like it's going to be good. I just need to cut it to length, and I'm actually going to cut it so it's a little longer than it needs to be. So I'm probably going to cut it right about here, which means it will be about 4 inches. Making your cuts round numbers just makes your life so much easier. And make your scoring lines. See right there? Already cut through. Styrene is a wonderful thing. So now I just need to glue this in place. And it should not be too much of a chore. Part of the reason why I chose a thinner size of styrene. I did not want this to be a painful experience. And while I'm here, I will go ahead and glue down the back to give it a little more structure, a little more hold, because I really don't want that to come off. Alright, now that we have that taken care of, I'm going to go ahead and turn my attention to the only other part of this build where I'm going to have to actually fabricate something. It's going to be a little more involved than just this. Luke's Macrobinoculars have a box on the back end so that this is where this is what you would point at whatever you're trying to look at, and then you would look through this box on the other side of it. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time trying to replicate that box, but I am going to mimic it. And the easiest way for me to do that is with styrene. So I'm actually going to be getting out a thicker styrene because I want that to have a little more structural integrity to it. And so I'll construct that, probably paint it, and then attach it, and then we'll get onto some greeblies and a little bit of painting, and we'll basically be done. This is a pretty easy build. Alright guys, I have my viewing box done, and I'm not going to attach it yet because I'm going to paint it a different color, and so I'm going to attach it after painting, so it just makes my life a little easier. But before I do that, I need to dress it up with some greeblies. So I picked out some greeblies that I'm going to use for this, and on some of these I'm going to attach right now, and then some I have to wait until after painting. That just kind of depends on what colors you are wanting to use and what colors you want each piece to be. But I'm going to be painting this little door that we made, and on the back side there's this panel that has directions for operating the camera. I don't need those, so I'm going to paint over that. So I'm going to paint those and the viewing box gray because I feel like that'll go well with this color scheme. It's different, but it's still kind of a subdued color, so I think that'll turn out really nice. I am going to attach some of the greeblies. Some of the greeblies I'm going to be painting by themselves and then attaching. Regardless, let's get to it. guys, I have my panels on the body of the Macrobinoculars painted and my greeblies painted, and now I need to attach them all to the body. Then we just have a little bit of weathering and we'll be good to go. All right, guys, the Macrobinoculars are finished, and I can see well, I can't see anything out of these because I didn't give them any kind of functionality, but that doesn't mean you can't. I have seen other people actually put binoculars in like a body like this and create a macro binocular setup around a set of working binoculars. So you could totally do that. For this, I just wanted this to be a cool looking prop that I could put somewhere. You know what? This might be something that I add to back there, but I'm not sure yet. I might have to move something else out of the way. But this came out super cool. It wasn't too complicated. We got it nice and dirty, and I like the way this came out. You could do this with any kind of like old vintage camera, and like I said, I picked this up for like 40 bucks off eBay. It's not expensive. I didn't use any crazy tools or anything to put this together. You could totally do this, and if you do, I would love to see it. You can send it to us on social media, on Facebook or Instagram, or just tag us in the post. I would really love to see if you guys take on a macro binocular build. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, found it helpful or informational, give us a like and hit the subscribe button. We come out with one of these build videos every Friday, and now we have a new series that comes out every Wednesday, and that is a show and tell series. Make sure to hit the bell right next to the subscribe button so you don't miss anything. You can follow us on social media, like I said before, Facebook or Instagram, and you should check out our Patreon page. Patreon really helps out the channel. It helps me to continue to be able to show you guys cool builds like this and bring you guys the best content that I can, and I get to give you guys some cool stuff in return. That's the best way to help us out. You can also check us out at wompratcreations.com. Link in the description. There's some cool stuff there for you too. If you guys have any questions about any part of this build or even any future builds that you would like to see, let me know in the comments. As always, thank you guys so much for all of your support. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.